Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about February book releases. So once again, welcome back. I am so glad you decided to click on this video. Like I said in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some book releases that are going to happen in February, which is coming up so quick. I know it is literally the very beginning of January, but it's around the corner. Time goes too fast. And there's a lot of books I want to talk about, so I am going to skip to the good stuff and just go ahead and get started. So first up, on February 6th, there is a book coming out, The Teacher by Frida McFadden, who is an author I've spoken on before. She writes really like popcorn thrillers that just are easy reading, but will like definitely keep you entertained. And sometimes that's just what you need. So let me read you what this one is about. Lesson number 1, trust no one. Eve has a good life. She gets up each day, gets a kiss from her husband Nate, and heads off to teach math at the local high school. All is as it should be, except last year, K-Sum High was rocked by a scandal with one student, Addie, at its center. And this year, Eve is dismayed to find the girl in her class. Addie can't be trusted. She lies, she hurts people, she destroys lives. At least that's what everyone says. But no one knows the real Addie. Nobody knows the secrets that could destroy her, and Addie will do anything to keep it quiet. While that synopsis doesn't necessarily tell us like a ton plot-wise, I haven't yet read a Frida McFadden book that disappointed me. They're all kind of, like I said, just popcorn thrillers. They are just fun, and if you just need pure entertainment, these are really good for that. So I have no doubt that this one will be the same way. This comes out on February 6th. Also coming out on February 6th is Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead by Jenny Hollander. I actually have an early copy of this, and so I have read about a third of it so far, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. It is like one of these kind of past trauma, college campus murder situations, and then like you come back and reunion time. I'm just going to read the synopsis because it will do much better than I am right now. 9 years ago, with the world's eyes on her, Charlie Colbert fled. The press and the police called Charlie a witness to the nightmarish events at her elite graduate school on Christmas Eve, events known to the public as Scarlet Christmas, though Charlie knows she was much more than that. Now Charlie has meticulously rebuilt her life. She's the editor-in-chief of a major magazine, engaged to the golden child of the publishing industry, and hell-bent on never ever letting her guard down again. But when a buzzy film made by one of Charlie's former classmates threatens to shatter everything she's worked for, Charlie realizes how much she's changed in 9 years, and she's not going to let anything, not even the people she once loved most, get in her way. So yes, like I said, enjoying this. It is not necessarily like a novel plotline. I have read books like this on multiple occasions, but I like that kind of trope of like, this happened on like a college campus and we're coming back and like having to revisit it or whatever. So it's a little different because it's a movie that is going to be made about this crime that took place. But I like the way that the story is building so far. There is a lot of tension, and like at the point I'm at, I like I said, I think I'm a third or maybe even a little bit further, and like we still don't really know what happened. We know that a couple people were killed and a couple were like critically injured, but like other than that, we don't really know how any of this went down. So definitely building suspense, and I am looking forward to reading the rest of it. Another one on February 6th is When Grumpy Met Sunshine by Charlotte Stein. This is a romance that is not necessarily something that I think I normally go for. I have to hear like a lot of really good reviews on a romance to pick it up, but this sounds really cute, and I love the cover. When grumpy ex-footballer Alfie Harding gets badgered into selling his memoirs, he knows he's never going to be able to write them. He hates revealing a single thing about himself, is allergic to most emotions, and can't imagine doing a good job of putting pen to paper. And so in walks curvy, cheery, cute-as-heck ghostwriter Mabel Williker, who knows just how to sunshine and sass her way into getting every little detail out of Alfie. They banter and bicker their way to writing his life story, both of them sure they'll never be anything other than at odds. But after their business arrangement is mistaken for a budding romance, the pair have to pretend to be an item for a public who's ravenous for more of this Cinderella story. Or at least it feels like it's pretend, until each slow burn step in their fake relationship sparks a heat neither can control. Now they have to decide, is the sizzling chemistry just for show, or something so real it might just give them their fairy tale ending? I think that sounds cute. It could really go either way, but I really like those bantery kind of books, but like, it has to be genuine. I think I've talked about it before, but like, if we're having like an enemies to lovers, they gotta really have a reason to dislike each other, and it sounds like he might just be kind of like a grumpy dude, which I could get on board with. So we'll see how that goes, but it does sound cute. I also love fake dating, so hopefully this one will be a winner for me. On February 13th, we have Acts of Forgiveness by Maura Cheeks. This one I got an early copy of as well. I haven't read it yet, but it is one that I am really intrigued by. Every American waits with bated breath to see whether or not the country's first female president will pass the Forgiveness Act. The bill would allow Black families to claim up to $175,000 if they can prove that they are descendants of slaves, and for ambitious single mother Willie Revelle, the bill could be a long-awaited form of redemption. A decade ago, Willie gave up her burgeoning journalism career to help run her father's struggling construction company in Philadelphia, and she has reluctantly put family first without being able to forget who she might have become. Now she's back living with her parents and her young daughter while trying to keep her family from going into bankruptcy. Could the Forgiveness Act uncover her forgotten roots while also helping save their beloved home and her father's life's work? In order to qualify, she must first prove that the Revelles are descended from slaves, but the rest of the family isn't as eager to dig up the past. Her mother is adopted, and her father doesn't trust the government and believes working with a morally corrupt employer is a better way to save their business. And her daughter is just trying to make it through the 5th grade at her elite private school without attracting unwanted attention. It's up to Willie to verify their ancestry and save her family. But as she delves into their history, Willie begins to learn just how complicated family and forgiveness can be. So I think that's like a really cool premise. It sounds really different. It's like sort of like an alternate reality, I guess, where we have a female president and this bill is potentially a law. Yeah, this sounds really cool. I am looking forward to reading that for sure. This next one also comes out on February 13th, and this is a memoir that I have just heard about maybe like a week ago and immediately put it on this list. It is definitely sounding intriguing. And this is called My Side of the River by Elizabeth Camarillo Gutierrez. Born to Mexican immigrants south of the Relito River in Tucson, Arizona, Elizabeth had the world at her fingertips as she entered her freshman year of high school as the #1 student. But suddenly, Elizabeth's own country took away the most important right a child has, a right to have her family. As her parents' visas expired, they were forced to return to Mexico, leaving Elizabeth responsible for her younger brother as well as her education. Determined to break the cycle of being a statistic, she knew that even though her parents couldn't stay, there was no way she could let go of the opportunities the U.S. could provide. Armed with only her passport and sheer teenage determination, Elizabeth became what her school would eventually describe as an unaccompanied homeless youth, one of thousands of underage victims affected by family separation due to broken immigration laws. For fans of Educated, The Distance Between Us, My Side of the River explores separation, generational trauma, and the toll of the American dream. It's also, at its core, a love story between a brother and a sister who, no matter the cost, are determined to make the pursuit of his own dreams easier than it was for her. So that sounds really, really inspiring and just like eye-opening, and it's very sad. I think what this book is gonna be about, but hopefully it has a nice ending. Fingers crossed. I really like books about siblings, so especially being a memoir, actual siblings, I think I'm really going to enjoy this, but it's probably going to be a pretty tough one. Next, on February 20th, we have another thriller, Nowhere Like Home by Sarah Shepard. She is the author of the Pretty Little Liars books. I've actually never read anything by her, but this one does sound pretty intriguing, and I did enjoy the Pretty Little Liars TV show, at least the first couple seasons, so hopefully this one will be a winner for me. When Lena gets a call from her old friend Rhiannon, she is startled. Rhiannon disappeared years ago without a trace. But Lena is even more startled to learn that Rhiannon has a son and that she lives off the grid with a group of women in a community called Halcyon. Rhiannon invites Lena, a new mother herself, to join them. Why suffer the sleepless nights by yourself? It takes a village after all. Lena decides to go and hopefully repair her relationship with Rhiannon, but as she drives into the desert and her cell service gets weaker, she becomes suspicious. Who are these women and why did Rhiannon invite her here? And that is before she learns about the community's rules. No outside phone calls, no questions about people's pasts, and the padlock on the gate that leads out to the main road. But Lena has other concerns. Secrets from her past she is terrified will come out. When a newcomer arrives in the community, Lena's worst fears are confirmed. She was brought here for a reason. Okay, so we got toxic friendship. We got culty vibes. I'm in. I'm here. I'm here for it. It sounds great. I am really looking forward to that. And again, comes out February 20th, so we don't have to wait too much longer. Another one on February 20th is Keep Your Friends Close by Leah Conan, and I actually already read this one. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a thriller, but it was sort of a domestic thriller. I don't know how exactly to describe it, what to compare it to, but it was creepy, real creepy. Isolated and embroiled in a custody battle, Mary is desperate for a friend. So when she meets the charming and enigmatic Willa at a Brooklyn playground, their connection feels fated. But during a margarita-fueled mom's night out, Mary shares her darkest secret about her ex, George, and the next morning, Willa simply disappears. No calls, no texts, nothing. 2 months later, Mary's divorce is almost finalized and she's trying to build a new life for her son in upstate New York. On her first day in town, she runs into Willa, only Willa's name is now Annie, and she's got an entirely new family in tow. When George turns up dead and Mary becomes the prime suspect, she has no choice but to turn to her only friend in town, Willa. As coincidences and evidence pile up, Mary begins to wonder whether Willa had something to do with George's death. Is the woman a friend or a foe, a confidant or just a con? Mary must uncover the truth before she loses everything. Okay, I love a scammer book. I almost want to say like a little bit Gone Girl, in just that like there are some crazy twists that you don't see coming, and I love that whole like changing identities. It's like, did this person ever exist? Like, I just like love that kind of vibe. So this is a book that I really did enjoy and I will definitely be recommending. I think it's definitely worth the read. And again, February 20th. And the last book on this list comes out February 27th, and that is Relinquished by Gretchen Sisson. So this book is a little bit special to me because the author is a good friend of mine and my family's, and so this book is something that I have been so excited about talking about for a while now, and this is nonfiction, and I think it's a really, really important topic. I am about halfway through this one right now, and it is so good and so insightful. In my opinion, it's the perfect blend of like narrative nonfiction and information. So hear me out. I mean, I'm sure that there's biases and you can totally call me out on it, but this book truly is so good. Adoption has always been viewed as a beloved institution for building families, as well as a mutually agreeable common ground in the abortion debate. But little attention has been paid to the lives of mothers who relinquish infants for private adoption. Relinquished reveals adoption to be a path of constrained choice for those for whom abortion is inaccessible or for whom parenthood is untenable. The stories of relinquishing mothers are stories about our country's refusal to care for families at the most basic level, and to instead embrace an individual private solution to a large-scale social problem. With the recent decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization revoking abortion protections, and the upcoming decision in Brackeen v. Holland likely to revoke the Indian Child Welfare Act, we are in a political moment in which adoption is increasingly being revealed as an institution devoted to separating families and policing parenthood under the guise of feel-good family building. Rooted in a long-term study, Relinquished is an analysis of hundreds of in-depth interviews with American mothers who place their children for a domestic adoption. The voices of these women are powerful and heart-rending. They deserve to be heard as a response to this moment. That's all you need to know. It's a really heartbreaking and insightful book about an issue that I didn't even know was an issue, I guess. I never, before reading this, had thought of adoption as controversial, but it really brings up some very interesting and, in retrospect, obvious problems with the way the adoption system is set up and all of that. So definitely recommend that, and I think it will be a unique read for a lot of people. I don't know of any other books that cover the same subject matter, so definitely one to check out. So those are just 8 books that are coming out in February that I'm looking forward to. I know there are so many books, and I obviously can't include every single book that's coming out, but these are ones that I'm really looking forward to that you might not have heard of. And if you've heard of some that are not on this list, I would love to hear about them. Let me know down in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one.